Tennessee. Sorry guys, I gotta kind of yell. This is a noisy road, so I got a lot of background noise. Plus I'm driving, so can't hold the phone up to my mouth. So you're probably asking yourselves, what in the hell is Bill so fascinated in Sasquatch? Let me tell you. Not first of all, but I'm pretty bored driving all day, every day. Got a lot of time to think. But anyway, I've been fascinated my whole life. I'd read books on it all the time and in school. And then when YouTube came out, you know, it's just like sucked up everything I possibly can. I want to get to the bottom of modern day America's biggest kept secrets. And mainly, I want to find out, I want some answers from the government. I want to know why they've been lying, or not lying to us, just not telling us the truth. They pay other people to lie to us, like I've said before. They don't want to have anything to do with out telling lies, but they'll have everything to do with keeping the truth from the Americans. This is our fucking country, people. We deserve to know the truth. There's too many secrets that the government keeps. I'm convinced they exist. I've never seen one. I don't have to. But I believe the thousands and thousands, and I mean that, thousands of people, probably close to 1 million, I wouldn't doubt it. People who have come forward and sent an email to somebody to tell them the truth, to tell them their story, to tell them they're a big bad hunter and they pissed their pants when they seen one of these things. Or they froze with fear. Or they didn't even bother drawing their weapon because they knew to shoot at one of these things it wouldn't do any good. I just want to be part of everybody else who wants to get to the bottom of this. My two favorite YouTube channels, besides mine, is The Facts by How to Hunt and Sasquatch Chronicles. Steve and Wes. And I want to be part of that. I want the truth to get out so overwhelmingly that the government has to come clean about it. No more secrets, no more lies. Skeptics can kiss my ass, and I cannot wait till they eat their words. I can't wait. And I've been still working on my I told you so dance. I got it down. So, if you know me personally, someday I'm going to do it for you. And you're going to love it. So, just be prepared. You'll want video. Now, imagine when the truth finally does come out. Now I'm going to be kind of silly. But these things might want jobs. They might want us to put them to work. Can you imagine one of those big bastards working in a warehouse or construction site? Wow. They're so strong and powerful, and they're intelligent. So you could teach them to do something. You could teach them a job. But anyway, I'm just being silly. Guess I don't know what else to say. It's gonna happen. And one more YouTube channel about Sasquatch ain't gonna kill nobody. Might upset the government. When they finally catch on to me, there'll probably be trolls threatening me and shit like that. I don't give a shit. I don't care what people think. If you think I'm crazy, you're crazy for not looking into it. Do your research, do your homework, listen to a few stories, a few hundred stories, a few thousand stories. These people can't make this stuff up. And the thing about it is, there's so many similarities between these stories. Rock throwing, pushing on the tent, throwing boulders in the water, roaring, screaming, howling, bluff charging people. So many people tell so many of the similar stories. Now, a guy I was working with, he was backpacking and camping. He was in his tent, and a giant hand was pushing down on the top of his dome tent all the way down to his face. You know how many other stories on YouTube there are about that? Then another guy I know was deer hunting. He was up in his stand. Someone was throwing pebbles at him. He blamed it on his brother-in-law. They got in a big fight about it. His brother-in-law says, "It wasn't me, man. I was on my deer stand." You know, I was like, I'm in the middle of the woods. Where am I going to get a bunch of pebbles? Well, I told the guy that it was a Sasquatch. And he believed me. The light came on. It all made sense. You know how many stories on YouTube there are about that? Hundreds. And then a friend of mine, she was staying in a camper on someone's property. She didn't know nothing about Sasquatch. She told me she saw 2 red or orange glowing eyes in the woods about the size of tennis balls. You know how many stories there are about that? Thousands. She also told me she heard voices in the woods. Like 2 people having a conversation, but she couldn't understand it. It was like in a different language. What people say is kind of like a samurai language kind of thing. You know how many stories there are about that? And like I said, she never knew nothing about Sasquatch. She's never heard or listened to one Sasquatch story. But yet, she told me 2 things that thousands of other people have talked about, have wrote about. But you know what? They had to send an email to somebody because people in their family, their friends, their relatives, whoever, when they tell them their story, they make fun of them. They say they're lying. They say they don't know what they saw. They saw a bear. Well, I'll tell you what. Anybody who spends any amount of time in the woods and has an encounter, they know what the hell a bear looks like. And they know what an 8-foot hairy man looks like. There's such a huge difference. I asked some guy about it. He seemed like an outdoorsy type. I couldn't believe he gave me this kind of answer. He tried to tell me that bears run on their hind legs. No, they do not. And if they do try to run, they've got short, stubby little legs, and they don't move very fast. Even when they're walking on their hind legs, they kind of sway back and forth and kind of stumble along, and then they drop down on all fours. They don't spend much time at all, maybe not even a minute, on their hind legs. And people see Sasquatch running across roads in 2 or 3 steps. Okay? Bears do not have a stride. 8-foot hairy man does. So, call me crazy. I don't care what anybody thinks. If you already know me, you know I'm not crazy. I'm not the smartest guy on earth. But I've got a little bit of common sense, and that's all it takes to realize that these things exist. All it takes is one true story out of the thousands. And what does that tell you? If that one story out of thousands and thousands is true, then what's going on? That's all it takes, is just one true story. But the fact of the matter is, thousands and thousands of these stories are true. Every now and then there's some ass jack that decides to sit down and make something up. I don't care about them. They can suck it. They need to get a life if they're going to sit down and try to mislead people like that. Even the dumbass skeptics don't take the time to do that. They're just being paid by the government to out and out lie and deny the fact. They'll do it right on the movie, right on film. You'll see these skeptics on some of these documentaries and stuff. God, they sound like idiots. And first of all, for somebody to come right out and say that without even thinking of the possibility, at least they could say, well, you know, it's possible. Well, John Bendernagel, he is now passed away. He was an advisor for the United Nations on wildlife. And he backed up the fact that these things exist. On top of the thousands and thousands and thousands of hardworking, honest Americans and people from all over the world. Even in the UK, there's stories from there. There's woods there, yeah, there is. And the Yowie in Australia, tons of stories from Australia, and stories from every state in the country. So you don't have to take my word for it. I could be making all this up, but I'm not. And you will find out for yourself if you just listen a little. Take the time, listen to a few stories, and you will be blown away and amazed. I've always known these things existed, and I'm still blown away and amazed by some of the stories I've heard. Holy crap, these poor people. It messes with them, man. It messes up their life. Because they have an encounter with something that they've been told their whole life is a fairy tale, is a myth. These things don't exist. And then they're facing one 10 to 20 feet away, and the thing roars at them so loud it hurts their ears and rocks their insides. What would you do if that happened to you? How would you handle it? You'd probably start drinking every day. I've always believed these things exist. But I tell you what, if I had a face-to-face encounter like that, I'd probably start drinking every day too. Just because of the fact, in your mind, you've been taught your whole life, there's no such thing as monsters. Well, there sure shit is. Remember that book? It's still out there. It's called Where the Wild Things Are. Those things, I think that story is about Sasquatch. I just thought about that the other day. I actually do. I think whoever wrote that book probably knows that these things exist, and so they kind of wrote a children's book about it. I don't remember exactly how it goes or how it ends, but I think that's what that book is all about. And it'd probably be a good business to get into is writing children's books about Sasquatch. Maybe kind of make it humorous, like everyday situations that they would run into, and try to make it funny. But anyway, we need to teach the children. We need to educate the young ones that these things are real. I'm going to tell my grandkids about them. I have to. They need to know. I don't care what their mom and dad think. Their dad doesn't think they exist. My daughter, I don't know, I think she trusts me enough that if I think they exist, that's good enough for her. I would hope. So if you're listening to this, sweetheart, don't make me do I told you so dance. Just trust your dad, trust your father, that I know what I'm talking about. I've done the research for you. My word should be golden to you. I've never lied or misled you in the past. I may have said some things that upset you that you didn't want to hear, but I've never lied to you. Just remember that. But your families out there who ridicule a family member for sharing this stuff, their story with you, that ain't right. You gotta stop. You gotta listen to these people because it messes up their lives. You have to back them 100%. Like I said, I know my dad would, my mom would, everyone in my family would back me up if I had a sighting and went and told them what happened. At least I'm pretty sure. Our family has been raised to accept strange or paranormal things. Anything can be real in this world, in this solar system, in this galaxy, in this universe. Stranger things are out there. And the government knows all about these things, like I've said before. They have unlimited resources to dive into this. And I wouldn't doubt one bit that they have found people who can communicate with these forest people, these beings, these friendly monsters. Most of them are friendly. There are some mean ones out there. just like humans. There's good people and bad people. So, I mean, there's stories out there of these things rescuing people who have been injured. They'll carry them to the nearest road and set them down. Carry them out of the forest. Bring them back to their car, or their truck, or their campsite, or bring them to a road so they know that someone else will find them. Like I said, there's some amazing stories out there, people. You gotta listen. Just listen to a few. That's all you gotta do. And if you're not convinced, fine. Move on. Go about your business. Go about your daily lives. Go to work. Come home, drink beer, beat the wife. You know, whatever you do for fun, man. But I choose to do this because the whole concept amazes me, and I want the government to come clean. They've kept so many truths from us. So many. And like Steve says from the Facts by How to Hunt, he says this is probably the easiest subject or topic that we can use to get the truth, to get to the bottom of it. So that's why I'm interested in this. And that's the rest of the story. Keep on trucking.